Everybody, coming at you guys with another episode of Behind the Deal at Carrot. I want to make sure my mic is working. You guys hear me?
We are good.
Cool.
We are
We're all
rolling.
good. Awesome. So guys, if you guys are popping in new from YouTube or from Facebook, this is it's still new, it's still fresh, it's still got a fresh coat of paint. It's our new series called Behind the Deal, where every other week we're going to get behind the deal and break down a deal with one of our Carrot customers. We've had Mr. Bo Hollis on the last couple where we broke down a deal where he got a car and he's giving the car away. And we broke down another deal a couple weeks ago where it was over a $50,000 profit. It was our first deal that him and I did together, a Google PPC deal. We showed the video, so go back and look at that one. And also we had Mr. Keith Sant on where he broke down a really, really cool deal up there in Tacoma, Washington. So today we'll reintroduce you to, actually, Anthony is sitting about half a mile down the road from me probably right now. But dude, welcome back on the Carrot community, but on your first Behind the Deal, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we're going to talk today about a deal that we're calling the zombie house. And so we've got a video we're going to show you guys here in a bit. But before we do, I want you guys, wherever you're listening to, watching from, if you're watching live, pop into the YouTube or Facebook chat. Just let us know, hey, that you're here, that you're alive. We are going to take questions a little bit later. We're going to break down the deal. We'll talk about anything on the deal that you guys want to talk about. And our aim really with these behind the deals is to demystify and break down the process, because we want you guys to take these episodes and go away and say, man, the process is simpler than I thought it was. Or shoot, there's a tough deal at the zombie house. How did Anthony get through that? Or how did they get the lead? And so you can start to ramp up the way that you're getting leads, leveraging Carrot itself. So before we show the deal, Anthony, I want you first of all, just kind of let people know who you are. What do you do? And then we're going to dive into the zombie house video.
Anthony Beckham, real estate broker here in Roseburg, Oregon. Do a few wholesale deals a year, but the primary focus is, of course, the real estate business, where we're doing more than 100 traditional sales.
Yeah, so you guys are, dude, you guys are pretty darn high volume now on the agent side of things. And we were just talking a bit ago, and I want to bring this up after we break down the zombie house deal, but how there sometimes is some seasonality with leads and deals. We'll kind of talk about what you're seeing. But guys, this is a guy who's a player, hundreds of transactions on the agent side. And then we're in a small market, right? So we're not in a town of 200,000 people. It's a town of 30,000, 25,000.
25, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's small. And so Anthony's been able to really penetrate the market. So let's do this now. I want to toss over to you, Brady. Dude, anything before we dig into the zombie house video?
I don't have anything specifically to mention. Anthony, I just want to call it because he's probably going to be too humble and undersell himself. This guy, we had him on the Carrot Cast maybe a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It was, I think at the time you're 23, you had done your first 300K in commissions that year. Was that right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so he's grown very quickly and gone from solo guy, added a couple people to the team, and we've got to, kind of be on that journey with him, have him on the podcast. So we'll link that up if you guys want to go check out, just to get some context for where he started and where he is now. But yeah, we're gonna look at this zombie house video and find out how Anthony sold it twice and why. I'm curious to find out after we roll this video, what made you want to buy this decrepit thing in the first place. So yeah, if we don't have anything else, then we can roll this bad boy and see.
Dude, I think the only thing, and like, so we'll break down the deal big time, is guys, I want you guys to pop through the comments box wherever you're watching this, if you're watching it live, and let us know where you're calling in from. Like, where are you? What's your market? Are you an investor, an agent? Let's let us know there's some life out there and there's not a bunch of zombies on the other end of the digital webs. But also this one, it came from a Google pay-per-click lead from actually one of our team members. So this is an interesting part of the dynamic that we'll probably talk about is you can still do deals without having to be an agent or an investor. You can be the marketer. And then you can find someone who can close the deal or who's an amazing agent like Anthony, if that's what you guys want to do. But yeah, let's roll into it. So it came from Google PPC, from one of our Carrot team members who's been experimenting himself on how to pull out some deals. Send it over to Anthony to do the rest of the work, and we'll let the video roll.
I just purchased this place last Friday. It's Wednesday now. I haven't had time to come over here. I've seen it from the outside, but I haven't gone inside of it yet. So we'll have to crack it open and see. I brought some tools, so hopefully we can like get the plywood off and check it out. If we look here, they have padlocks. I don't have any keys, so it's just gonna be trying to figure this out. So let's explore it and take a look. Yeah, we're in. I just bought a house without seeing the inside of it. Who does that? I think at this point we've reached the next level where we're gonna need to go grab some tools if we're gonna get in this place. We also have a 16-pound sledgehammer. We're getting in this. We're gonna have to use the last resort, which was the 16-pound sledgehammer, as our first resort because we're running out of daylight.
Door.
I think we just found our way in, guys.
Give it a knock for real and see what happens.
Just like someone like opens that. God, I'm freaking myself out.
Oh god.
Oh my god. This is what I just bought? This has to be tore down. This isn't even a joke, dude. Can you see that?
Oh my goodness.
There's our in.
What is all in the jars?
Body parts.
Oh my god.
So what do you think, man? Bought this thing for $25,500. Good deal or what? This is pretty nuts though. Look at all these turds!
There's so many turds, bro. God. Oh god, that's the worst. Anthony, check it.
Dude, that's creepy right there. That's creepy.
So, I mean, now that I've actually looked inside, I don't know how much money we're actually gonna make on this thing, but bought this house without seeing the inside for $25,500. Now I know that it's creepy and dilapidated, which I had a pretty good feeling, but I did not think it was gonna be that bad. I think remodeling this place is like next to not happening.
Dude, that's awesome, man. First of all, because anytime I watch these videos, it's my first time watching the video too, and that's one of the things I love about it. Did you guys put that whole video together? Was it a collab between you guys and the Carrot team? It was an awesome video.
It was actually something, I mean, it had been close to a year ago now that we did that deal. And so we recorded the whole thing. And so he just kind of chopped it up, made a nice and sweet little video. And
awesome.
It's making life easier for Team Carrot.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, you guys did great, man. So let's do this first, because people might be having the question, like, what the heck is a zombie house? So Anthony, what is a zombie house?
So the funny part is I didn't name it the zombie house. It was actually on the lead form that the lead filled out. She put under condition, because it asked the condition of the house. She just wrote in zombie house.
Oh, really?
Like, all right, this one's gonna be nice, So
that's awesome. So you took the lead. It came from a Google pay-per-click through a Carrot site here in this little tiny town of Roseburg, and you paid $25,000 for that. And that's probably one thing that people might be wondering. Well, you can buy houses for $25,000 in other markets like Memphis or Detroit, things like that, but not usually here. So what are the average sales prices of a home here, so people can have context?
The average sales price here in Roseburg is now over $300,000. The lot itself had to have been worth like at least $35,000. I thought worst case scenario, I'd have to tear it down. That would cost about $10,000. So worst case scenario, I'm getting a lot for the cost of tearing it down. That sort of thing.
So that's an awesome way to look at it there, because even if the house doesn't matter the internal condition at that point, you can tear it down, raise the lot, and then you could sell it for break even at the worst. So I think that's an amazing lesson there. Man, I was reading a book. It was Am I Being Too Subtle by Sam Zell, like one of the biggest real estate investors in the history of the United States. And one thing that he talks about is how he weighs risk and how he weighs decisions. And he said he always wants to protect his downside and be insanely clear of what the downside is and be okay with the downside, but he wants to make sure to have an outsized upside. And so with this example here, and with your other deals that you do too, kind of how do you go about looking at that risk versus reward when you're going to buy a property like this?
Basically, I don't want to buy it unless there's no way I can lose.
Yep.
So in this case, I mean, I looked into building a shop because it was a multi-zoned lot. So that would bring in more than doing a brand new house. Plus it was kind of a semi-industrial area, so you have shops across the street, and then you also have mixed in with some single family. Wouldn't have been a great place to do a full remodel or build a brand new construction. I mean, because that's what you'd be looking at doing, is a brand new construction there. But like I said, I figured worst case scenario, I got a lot, I can build on it later. We can figure something out. We make money on it somehow.
Love it, dude. So you guys went in there, you took the property down for 25K. Is that what did she ask for 25K, or did you need to negotiate down to that?
I looked at the lead form again today before the video, and no, she was actually asking 80,000.
Oh, okay.
And I went out there. Well, I couldn't get a hold of her for the first, at least a good week, where I was sending texts every day, calling every day, sending emails every day. Finally, actually drove out to the property and took a picture of the house and texted her. And I'm like, hey, I'm here right now. It looks like something we can make work. Give me a call as soon as you can. And anyway, so she ended up getting a hold of me, and I just kind of explained, my position as an investor, and obviously we got to make some money on it. And at 80,000, it's not happening.
So that lead was a carrot lead, though. Did you pay for the lead because it wasn't generated by your own? What's the story with that?
So it actually came from one of your guys' team members that has a site, has some good SEO, obviously learns from the best, and so he shoots me over leads every once in a while, and this is one of those. So it actually wasn't generated off I have an investor site as well as my agent site, but it wasn't generated off my site. It was generated off his.
Nice.
Cool. And with that too, that's a cool topic to dive into. And one thing I want to do is really dive into this later this quarter in Q1, is really how to ramp up paid ads, because that's what he did in that case. It was a Google ad. And in this market, you're not going to be able to scale that up very big, right? Because it's a small market. So you're going to have to scale out to the whole state of Oregon or multiple cities. But in a town like this, you could probably get a solid couple good leads a month, maybe 1 to 3, depending on how broad you're making the keywords for sellers. But you're probably going to be able to close between 1 and 5 deals, maybe 1 and 10 deals a year in a market that's a sub 50,000. So if anyone is looking at, well, shoot, I'm in a city like Roseburg where it's 25 or 30,000. Make sure that you're looking at it from the realistic perspective of, you're not going to pull 20 deals a year out of it from PPC or SEO in one market of 25,000. But if you want to expand to a bunch of markets of 25,000, one of our clients, Kyle Bigger, he's in a ton of areas in Oregon, Klamath Falls, Roseburg, like Springfield, all these kind of cities outside of the main area. He's in all kinds of those cities and piles up 8 to 10 deals a month, because he's hitting 30 different cities of that size. So guys, just really put the realism behind the goals. If you're seeing this and going, man, amazing deal, is he going to get 10 of these a month? No, but you can definitely pull some good deals out of it. So you took the deal down, you got it for 25K. What did you end up doing, man? Because you described and you mentioned that you sold this property twice. So how did that break down, and what did the process look like?
So whenever I do these, I normally will pay cash for them. So it's more of like a wholesale kind of situation, just so that it's easier. So I paid cash, the 25.5, and then, I hadn't decided whether I was going to stick a sign in the yard, whether I was going to build. I was talking with my contractor about the different options, and an investor that I've worked with, I've sold him a handful of homes, reached out and was like, hey, we're going to be in town. Do you have anything? And I'm like, well, I got this one place, but to be honest with you, I don't really even know a whole lot about it. I mean, it's pretty rough, but you're free to go drive by and check it out. And anyway, they asked how much I'd want for it. I told them 45,000, and they're like, all right, let's do it. So
really? Huh.
Yep. So we ended up selling it for 45. So that was 19.5, gross off of it. And then those guys hired like a dumpster crew and all this stuff. I mean, it was a hoarder house. You saw what you could see in there. So they had it all cleared out, and then ended up calling me and being like, hey, there's some more stuff going on here that we just don't really have the time to deal with. We'd rather allocate these funds elsewhere. Can we go ahead and list it? So I think we listed it like 61 or something like that, 62,000. Ended up selling it for 58,500 for them. So they ended up walking away with around like 5,000 profit from it, just by having it cleaned out and putting it back on the market. And then I got a 3.5% commission on the back end. So not only did we make the 20 grand to begin with, but we ended up making the commission on it a couple months later too. So
dude, I need to drive by and check out the house now. Like, do you know, has it been fixed up, or
No.
what they do with it?
Last time that I went by there, it still looked exactly the same
Really?
as it did. Yeah.
So what gets me is how much work did they have to do to get it on the MLS? Like, clean it out. I mean, it was.
They just had to call me. Well, I mean, they took all the boards down and they hired a crew that came in and hauled all the stuff out, and essentially that's all they did. They were working with city to figure out what they were going to require, and city was going to require more than what they really wanted to do, just because it was in such bad condition. It's one of those things. If it's 51% or more dilapidated, then they would rather you tear it down than give you the permits to rebuild it and that sort of thing. Still was going to be doable, but it would have costed them more than they wanted to get into.
Gotcha.
So when you went to look at it originally, were you kind of gauging like, oh, this is about 52% dilapidated?
Definitely. But the inside was way worse than what I had anticipated. I mean, they basically did a homemade add-on there. That was still all open framing, but I didn't think it was going to be that bad because someone was living there, just a couple of weeks before I had went and seen the property for the first time.
Yep.
So I'm like, well, it can't be that bad, right? I mean, someone's living there, but then you get in there. I mean, you saw, I don't need to say anymore, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Dude, so on this one here, we might have mentioned it at the start, but I want to give people context. If you're an agent watching this or an investor watching this, where the seller came from. So once again, the seller went to the internet, did a Google search, but was it the seller that was living there? Were they a absentee owner in some other state? Kind of what was the seller's situation?
So they were local. It was kind of an interesting situation. I think it was like an inheritance.
Okay.
One of the daughters was living there, but she was disabled. And anyway, she had some sort of accident. And so they took her into a care home. And then, the sister that was with it was kind of taken over. And she's actually the one who submitted the lead form and who I dealt with the majority of the time.
Gotcha. Cool. I love it. So one quick thing I want to talk about here, because people might be asking on the lead gen side of it. Once again, we launched a Google pay-per-click campaign. This particular lead, I remember talking with Alex about it when it came in, because he asked me, he's like, dude, so do you know where this area is in Roseburg? And I go, I think it's over there by the baseball fields. And And then he brought up the zombie house thing, and the lead itself was probably a $100 to $200 lead. And some kind of break down some numbers here, $100 to $200 lead. It probably took 10 to 15 maybe leads that he sent through to you over that time, or whatever it was, to probably get one of these deals out. So let's say it was $1,000 to $2,000, and then it turned into a 20 some odd $1,000 profit. So you guys can see that there's that. The numbers I like to use is, if you can, and we see this quite a bit, but not every time, if you can put $1 in and get $10 out, that's usually what we love to shoot for with a paid ad campaign. Oftentimes it might be $1 in to 4 out, $1 in to 5 out if you're in a really competitive market. But we see quite a bit, if you can scale it up good, $1 in to $8 to $10 out if you can make it. And this one landed around that for the whole deal there. And then, like you mentioned, you got the listing out of it as well, which is a really cool way to kind of double dip on it. I love it. Anything else about this deal, guys? Because there's a couple topics I want to talk about that's not related to this deal. Also kind of talk about the market, what you're seeing as an agent investor. But anything else on the zombie deal that's interesting, or any questions coming from people in YouTube or Facebook land?
I don't see any questions coming in right now. Yeah, I just think it's crazy interesting how you end up selling it twice. How often does that happen?
Not very.
Yeah.
Not very.
Yep. Well, dude, so let's talk for a few minutes about market. Let's talk about kind of what you're seeing, Anthony, since you have your hands on so many transactions as an agent. And when we originally talked, a couple years ago, right after you had shown up to Carrot Camp here, you were pretty much a solo guy. I mean, you weren't like just one person, but you didn't have any buyer's agents on your team, things like that. What's your team look like now? Because I think that's a really cool and interesting journey, going from the dude hustling everything, probably 7 days a week. And you might still be working your butt off still, but you've got a team now. So what does the team look like now, and how that transition work for you?
Yeah, so it's now myself, and then we have 3 admin staff, kind of ISA, transaction coordinator, office manager, and then 2 buyer's agents. And then I also have a full-time videographer that's part of our team. So he does all the listing videos. And then when we have extra time, we do fun stuff like the zombie house, for instance.
Yep. So what's your work look like now versus before? Because before you were the guy showing all the houses to buyers, which I'm sure in a market like right now is crazy, showing like 30 houses per buyer. But what's your average work week look like now, running a team versus being the dude driving around all the time?
You know, I still work 6 days a week. I now take Sundays off for the most part. But the biggest difference is that in having those buyer's agents, I rarely do a showing. You know, I still do all the listing appointments, but I rarely do a showing. And that's really what's going to start eating up your evenings and your weekends. I mean, it was, you know, especially throughout the summer, I wouldn't be home until it got dark, you know, so 9 o'clock at night, a lot of nights, and then plus every single weekend for the first few years. So it's been a great transition, and I still work a lot, but I work on things that I enjoy a little bit more, and kind of get a step back as the CEO visionary, and do more of that work that actually gives me energy and that I enjoy more than running around opening doors.
And dude, the cool thing is too, so the phase of life and business you're in right now is different than where I'm at, and different where other people who are listening. In those early years, especially before you have kids and while you have a lot more time and more flexibility, really putting the head down and growing the business, man, is one of the most valuable things that we can do as an entrepreneur, is really setting the stage for that business. And so you've started to build the team, build some systems, move more towards some of the things that give you more energy. But you're still hitting it hard because the market's really good right now. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you've got to get it while the getting's good. And you're also building process there. What do you see from your perspective? What do you see market-wise, let's say in a year or two? I mean, do you guys see the factors showing it's going to continue to grow? Do you guys see things slowing down in a year or two from your perspective?
Well, it depends on what economist you're talking to, I guess, because it seems like everybody's got a different idea. But as of right now, I mean, it's been crazy. Go out to a property, give them a CMA. They're not ready yet, and they're not going to be ready for 3 months. Go back out, and it's like we're adding tens of thousands of dollars because 2 of their neighbors sold for 30. You know, every time someone sells in the neighborhoods, it's setting a new record. So you got new comps to go off of. So that we're starting to get into fall. Things are slowing down a little bit as far as, you know, we have a goal of hitting 4 transactions pending every week. And if we do, I take everybody out to lunch. So that's always the goal. And we've seen that slow down the last few weeks, and it probably will be until after the first of the year. We're still doing deals, but things are going to slow down. As far as the market as a whole, I mean, I would have to think we still got some time before anything too crazy happens, mainly because of inflation. I mean, that's my own personal opinion. Whenever you see the hedge funds and all the smart money and everything going into real estate, these hedge funds that are disguised as iBuyers, you know, that's what we're all calling them. You know, that tells you if that's where that money is going, that's probably a safe bet. And so I think we still got, you know, a year or two before we really start. It shouldn't be double-digit increases every year. I mean, I think that needs to slow down, and it will. But I don't think we're going to see like a huge crash or anything like that. Especially, we didn't have any foreclosures now for over a year in our market, because all that's been put on halt. And, you know, it seems like the banks are working with people. So I don't think we're going to see like a big wave of foreclosures or anything like that, like we were anticipating at first.
Dude, I'm with you on that too. There's a few factors that are just fundamental healthy factors that I think most of us, not I'll be the first one to call myself on. I didn't see them 2 years ago. I think a lot of us were thinking going into 2020, and I've said this many times, that things were going to stop growing, right? And they didn't. They accelerated, and there were some factors there related to COVID that kind of helped accelerate it a bit. But when you're looking at a lot of the factors, they weren't related to COVID. It was limited inventory in the market, and the fact that we were underbuilt around America. And I know Roseburg is for sure underbuilt by a factor of half. I think it was usually in a decade, there's about 10 million homes built, and there was like 5 to 6 million homes built that last decade from 2010 through 20. And that's a lot of houses. You're not going to be able to make that up in 1 year. And then you have the timber shortage and all the supply shortage, which drives houses up more, which then slows down the building cycle a little bit. And so you're starting to have those commodities go back down. Some housing permits are starting to level off, improve in some markets. Some housing permits went down a little bit as prices went way up, where people are like, hey, I'm going to wait for the lumber to go back down. So then that hurts the inventory issue even more. And then, like you were mentioning, there is that foreclosure side of it where they will start to release foreclosures in the different markets as they do come through. But just like they did in the last downturn, where there was a lot of foreclosures, they don't release them at once. They'll release them in tranches. So if they have 10,000 foreclosures and they usually foreclose, I'm making this up, but 2,000 a month, they might release 1,500 of those 10,000 foreclosures that are sitting there back, and then 1,500, and then they start to work it out over the next 2 to 3 years. So they're not devaluing their own inventory by releasing 10,000 at once. So I'm with you, man. I think there's some really healthy things. People your age, people in the mid 30s, getting up there. I know you're early 20s, but then if you go up from your age all the way up to, let's say, 35, 36, 37, that's people that are in their prime home buying years. And it's the largest home buying cohort of people in America right now, is those people that are oftentimes moving out of the urban area into a suburb, into a house. And so there's all these factors I think are going to keep making it healthy. It's the supply demand that was just amplified a bit by some of the COVID stuff. So I'm with you. I think it's going to be 1 to 2 years minimum of strong markets, but not seeing 30% growth year over year in some markets.
Yeah.
It might be 8%, it might be 7 or something like that. So if you guys are buying, make sure that you're not banking on a 10, 20, 30% appreciation. Buy because it's a great house. Interest rates are still low, or invest because the cash flow is there on the property, which tenants are going to continue to flock to rental properties, because those are also, you can't find rental properties in Roseburg right now, which is crazy. Yeah. Dude. So what are you doing right now on the marketing side? I know you've built an amazing brand here locally, just great referrals. You have an engine with that. What are you doing on the marketing side in general with your whole business?
So between Carrot and our Zillow leads, that basically keeps the buyer's agents busy. Between those lead sources, I'm personally, a lot of my listings now are past clients and referrals. Yep. So we're seeing more and more of that. And then, just following the whole content plan, that's why I hired a videographer. So, our YouTube channel is doing really well. We've been real consistent with it. My videographer comes to town at least once or twice a week, and we just collect as much content as we can. And then, he is able to give me a video or two back a week. And so anyway, that's been going really well. We have a handful of thousands of views on several of our videos, which is crazy. And even though that's not a lot, whenever you're in a town of 25,000 people and you have 5,000 views on a video, we start to see that. We're out in town. There was the record so far is being recognized 3 times while we were actually out filming in different neighborhoods and stuff, like, oh, I watch your videos and stuff like that. So it's been super cool. There's a lot of power in that, especially in a smaller market. Of course, I only can speak to a smaller market, but between the YouTube channel, I take that same content, I'm putting it on Instagram, I'm putting it on Facebook, but with paid ads. So people are really seeing me a lot on social media, or at least that's the plan.
Dude, this is cool, man. So let's break this down a little bit. I did a Google search for a phrase I knew that you had created some content on your Carrot site and in YouTube, best neighborhoods in Roseburg. And it popped up as a suggestion. So you're still ranked #1 in Google thereafter. You put that out June 24th, 2020. So that's a year and a half later. And guys, if you're an agent or an investor and you're wondering, like, what the heck is the evergreen marketing thing that Carrot's been talking about for years? This is one version of that, where he created a great article based on a video that he'd done called the top 5 best neighborhoods in Roseburg, Oregon. He's ranked #1 on Google for that phrase on Google. So if someone's looking to buy a house in Roseburg or to move here, they're probably going to wonder, like, what are the best neighborhoods? And his piece of content that he created over a year and a half ago, or almost a year and a half ago, is still ranked #1. Got a great YouTube video on that. I know at one time you were ranking really high in YouTube for literally the phrase Roseburg, Oregon, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're still there, but what are some of the other content pieces that you're finding are starting to pull some traffic for you or attention on the YouTube side? Are there certain topics that are working well, or certain ones that we can kind of point out to give people ideas?
I mean, the most popular ones have been the neighborhoods video and the pros and cons. You know,
Okay.
anything that's negative, I think people are able to hop on and
Yep.
check that out. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest benefit to focusing so much on the YouTube channel, and more than that, even just the content, is you're right. I mean, for the term Roseburg, Oregon, we were on the first page for a while because I had built so much content around Roseburg. I mean, so the Google juices, they really like it whenever you're using the whole YouTube strategy.
So that was in Google, not just YouTube, right? Like Google in Roseburg, Oregon, you guys were popping up.
Yeah. If you type in Roseburg, Oregon in YouTube, we're probably 4 of the first 10 videos there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, I'm looking at so many of these. So you've got one that you just published recently, 8 mistakes to avoid when selling your home in Roseburg. And you've got a video. You've got some big crocodile tears coming on the video. Dude, I love the way you guys are doing your thumbnails and just things like that are really, really compelling. So that video a month ago, 100 and some odd views. You've got some of these other ones that have thousands of views. What are you guys doing right now, Anthony, to come up with the ideas for the content that you're creating on the real estate agent side of things?
Well, for the most part, it's going to be, I have like a keywords everywhere plugin or something like that. And so I'll type in Roseburg, see what the most frequently searched terms are on that. And then I also keep a close eye on other players, in other parts of the states that are putting things out, what videos are doing best for them, and then recreating them locally. I haven't done a lot of it yet, but you can also just look up, like, for instance, the seller mistakes. I mean, if you just Google up seller mistakes to avoid, there's plenty of articles that you can get ideas from, and then just localize everything, so there's no end to the ideas.
Oh, dude, they never end. What's your cadence right now? So you've got a videographer, and if anyone sees a trend here, so Bo Hollis, he is on the investor side of things, been really ramping up the video. His only employee right now, except this is something I'm going to call him out on in a good way, like a good call out. I've been talking to him for years. I'm like, dude, you need an assistant, because he pulls 20-something deals a month with no employees, just him on the wholesaling and flipping side of things. And so he finally put out his first ad to get an assistant yesterday. And he sent me the ad. He's like, guess what I'm doing right now? I said, I don't know. What are you doing? Because I just put out my first ad to get an assistant. So he's getting that, but he's got a videographer. So that was his first hire, was a videographer. What's your cadence look like right now on the videographer side of things? Because not everyone's going to go out and get a videographer right away, right? It's something that looks like you get energy from doing that. You like doing it, I think. What's your guys' cadence right now with your video creation?
So he comes at least once a week until we end up having too much that he's like, hey, I need a week of just editing, and then he'll get those. But we were doing 1 video a week. We had filmed so many. We did a Roseburg real estate rant where basically I answered like common questions. And so that series of a handful of videos made it to where, because they were only like 2-minute videos, made it to where we had a backlog. And so we were like 10 weeks ahead. Cool. I finally fell off my weekly post, I think last week or the week before. So anyway, we got to get back on it. But we've been working on creating more videos like for our website and that sort of thing, working on team videos, some different ads that we run continuously on Facebook and that sort of thing. So that kind of took us away from the localized content, especially when it starts raining.
Yep. I love it. Brady, any questions on your, go for it, man.
Yeah, no questions popping in yet, but it's a perfect segue to our every other week when we do this, we like to do a little tips that actually work segment. And so Anthony's talking about how he finds his ideas. A lot of people struggle with that, like how the heck do I decide like what I'm going to shoot? And then you've got like the fear of overcoming being on camera, like what do I say? There's a lot of mental blocks people have there. So Anthony actually helped us create this guide, but we put together, I'm going to share it up real quick. And then I've also got a question for you, Anthony, kind of on what your videos have done for you locally as far as getting listings. But if you guys go to carrot.com/, video. Whoops, that's behind the scenes. Yeah, if you go to carrot.com/video, you can opt in, no strings attached, just put in your email and then you'll get this playbook. And our whole idea was like, okay, how do we take like Anthony's strategy and what he's doing and give it to people in a way that's really easy to digest, where we can show them kind of at a higher level, like how the video marketing works, how to put out on your website. So you get the SEO juice out of it. So it's not only going to YouTube, a little bit about on how to do some of that keyword research, how to overcome your fear of being on camera, what to say. And then the gold in this is the templates that we give you. So how to find your keywords. And then we actually have a few scripts in here of like what to say. Literally plug in your name, your town, a couple bullet points on what to talk about. We've got examples that Trevor put in for a video that he did way before he made this playbook for our co-work space in Roseburg. That's still ranking last time I checked. And then 52 ideas. So enough for one idea every week of the year here. I'm not going to leave the screen on it too fast because I don't want you to take them all, but just go to carrot.com/video. We've got one for agents and one for investors. By the time you guys listen to this on the podcast, you'll have an option on there to pick and get both of them if you want. But that's a really quick way to get some ideas and get them up on your website, get them up on YouTube.
I love it. I love it. And dude, yeah, Anthony, this would be something fun too, to like every time we connect and every time we bring you on here, I'm always impressed in how you're executing. You know, how you're executing, you're continuing to do video. It's a long-term play. It's something that the majority of your transactions likely come from not this activity right now, but you're really building something as you go. What have you seen, good, bad, and ugly, but what have you seen over the past 2 years as you went from really doing nothing online except for buying Zillow leads to cranking out videos and seeing that happen? How are you seeing that impact the business so far, and where do you see it going over the years ahead?
Well, I think that's been a big catalyst that has allowed me to have my evenings and weekends and stuff back. Plus, you know, it was every Wednesday, everybody knew I was going to be out of the office all day creating content. So then it all of a sudden it made it like, oh, I could actually be out of the office all day and things would still run. But of course you can't do that without building a team and preparing for it and that sort of thing. But the more time that goes by, like I said, I mean, there's the cool, like Roseburg famous aspect of it or what have you. But
yeah,
I think that, and this was something I felt whenever I started, and you put out a video and like some of those don't hit and get thousands of views. Some of them get 100. Well, if you have a 1% conversion rate on each video, you know, there you go. I mean, you're making thousands of dollars for every video that you make. And then you're going to have the ones that end up ranking #1 on Google and produce leads for you every week. And, you know, those are the home runs, but it's all worth it. You know, it's all worth doing, even though you may be embarrassed at your numbers at first. You don't need a lot of views to be generating a lot of business.
Dude, and it's all about momentum, right? Like even with this Behind the Deal thing, it's a new show for us. And so out of the gates, we're not going to have 1,000 people on live or 300 people on live. We're going to have a couple dozen people on live, and then hundreds watch it. And then as we go, we're going to get thousands and thousands of people, you know, watching these. As I'm painting the future in there for us, Brady and Braden, painting the future for us. Yeah. So it's all about momentum and consistency.
And just real quick, I got to share this. We were having our team meeting last Friday, and there's a gentleman that starts knocking on the office door. And so we're like, oh, I got to stop, you know, go. And he's like, hey, I'm James from Texas. I've been watching your videos and you're famous. You should be an advocate for Roseburg and all that stuff. He's like, can I take a picture of you guys? Swear to God. But that was cool because you know, I experience that every once in a while, but the team doesn't. And so it was super cool. You're Shiloh. You're the one I've been talking to on the phone. Like, it's so awesome to meet you. So everybody got to kind of experience, you know, the hype that you get from, I don't know, I guess the celebrity effect when somebody's been watching all the videos and
that is
then they
cool,
actually
man.
meet you in person. But yeah,
you know what? I just thought about, Anthony, the city of Roseburg needs to give you part of the tourism budget. Like they should just give you part of the local tourism budget. Say, Anthony, go shoot more videos, get more people to move here. I think we solved part of Roseburg's problems, man.
The local celebrity thing is a real deal. I was trying to explain to someone in the office just yesterday. They're like, "So what's Carrot? You guys software? You guys do marketing? What do you?" I'm like, and one of the people I was talking to said, "Oh, you know that guy who goes around town with a video camera and makes those videos of houses? Like he's a customer at Carrot." I was like, "Oh, thank you for explaining." It's like there's so many people I talk to that just know who you are, even if they don't know your name. It's like, I mean, it's pretty powerful. And like, only having a couple hundred views or like, I don't know, 40 views on a YouTube video, like, yeah, it's a good point to not dismiss that, because in a small town, like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And
I mean, with a dollar and a press of a button, you can get thousands on Facebook, so I mean, people can still see it, but it's the YouTube leads and those organic ones that are the ones that, are your true followers.
So that's go for it, Brady.
No, you're probably bringing up the same thing. I was going to say that's like a bonus tips that actually work is like getting YouTube views, or excuse me, video views on Facebook. How cheap that is that Anthony's talking about.
Yeah, because you've got the distribution of it, right? So guys, this is something to really remember big time. When we talk about evergreen marketing at Carrot, the first step is creating content that people are going to be searching for in an evergreen way, i.e. as long as people are living in Roseburg, they're never going to stop searching to discover what the best neighborhoods are. As long as this neighborhood exists, people are never going to stop searching about properties in that neighborhood. As long as houses exist and we're actually able to continue to own houses and the government doesn't take them all away from us, people are going to forever search how do I sell my house? How do I sell my house fast in these areas? So those searches are not going away. And so that's the first part, creating pieces of content that get in front of people that are doing searches that are in an evergreen fashion. The next part then is like, you actually got to get them in front of them. How do you amplify that process? So you create the piece of content, and if it's a video, ideally it's 3 to 8 minutes long. You can definitely do 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute videos if you're doing them on social, if they're Instagram or Facebook or something like that. And that'll work on YouTube too, probably, but try to keep those videos to 3 to 8 minutes, 3 to 10 minutes max, because then that's going to get the words on paper when you turn it into a video post using the Carrot video post feature. But then what Anthony does is he takes that one video and he repurposes it across multiple platforms. He takes it and puts it into Facebook. And when you put something on Facebook, Anthony, are you putting an ad budget behind every video, or kind of what's your process right now?
Not every video. I mean, I certainly do for my listings, and that's kind of another thing when you're on the listing appointment. Like, hey, I'm the only person who's not only going to make this video to this quality and everything, but I'm going to put ad dollars behind it. Yeah, you get a lot less questions about your commissions, when you have those things built up, and then obviously it's beneficial for brand awareness and all the buyer leads that we get from it.
I love it. So you guys use the Facebook side of it there. And then on the YouTube side, you're putting up on YouTube, naming it something that people are likely going to search or related around the phrase. So it can't just be like, I've seen some agents and investors upload a video to YouTube and it literally is the default title that came from the video camera, where it's like whatever it was, vid H1515 dash blah, and then Sony or something. So guys, make sure you're naming them something that is going to be based on what someone might search. And how much are you seeing where people are actually in YouTube doing the search? Because you mentioned you're getting leads from YouTube. Are they doing a search in Google and then finding your YouTube video from a Google search? Or are they actually going to YouTube and looking for videos and doing a search in there? Or do you know?
I think it's both. But I certainly have people that, mention YouTube and talk about other YouTubers and stuff. And I'm just one of the YouTubers that they watch, so there's plenty of that too. I think if the algorithm picks up that you're in Roseburg, since we have a handful of videos that are ranking for Roseburg on that first page, they start to end up in their recommended and that sort of thing.
Yep. I love it.
Here's another quick thing to see. I'm sure if you guys listen to the podcast, go to the YouTube version, go to carrotcast.com on the blog and check this out. But you're looking at Anthony's YouTube account, and I've got a tool. It's a free tool installed on here called Tube Buddy, and that kind of helps you pick keywords, do SEO research, and then it kind of gives you like a behind the scenes look on, lets you spy on other people's channels. I don't know if you've seen this, Anthony, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I have it too.
Yeah, super free, or it's free, super easy. Anyways, you can see he's getting 2.5, almost 3,000 views a month. What is that? 100 views a day.
Mhm.
That's pretty amazing. So it's like that combined effort after he's built up that catalog, it's compounding over 81 videos, 100 views a day. And then you can see channel keywords as well. You can actually pick keywords for your YouTube channel as a whole and keywords for your playlist as opposed to just your videos. So he's got Roseburg, Oregon real estate, homes for sale in Roseburg, Oregon, Anthony Beckham, Beckham Group, Roseburg Realtor, just like cramming them in there. I mean, we do the same thing with our Carrot YouTube channel. It works. So just get in there and optimize the crap out of it. But yeah, you're getting a lot of views here.
I took your guys' 3 lead per day training or what have you on Carrot, your little course that you had. And that's really the only SEO lessons I've ever gotten is just from that little online course that you guys had. And so, but now that's a huge part of the process. I mean, it all starts with me finding the keywords that we're going to use and planning everything around those keywords, you know, creating a video around what those search terms are.
This is cool. I love it. Well, guys, if there's any questions, pop them through and then we can dive into those questions. Otherwise, what I want you guys to do is, like Brady said, go to carrot.com/video, carrot.com/video, get the video guide. Brady and Anthony sat down. They kind of collabed on that together. Anthony was a big help on being a resource there for the team, and Brady and the team put that awesome resource together. I think thousands of people have downloaded it, but if I had to guess, probably like single digits or actually use it. And so I want you guys to be one of the ones like Anthony, where you don't just listen to information and you file it away like a librarian. It sits there on the shelf. I want you to take information and actually go put it to play. Okay. Librarians are amazing for cataloging stuff, but we need someone to go out there and actually take action on it. I like we're seeing with Anthony. So dude, I'm proud of you every time we hop on, being able to see what you're implementing, getting some of that evergreen built into your business, winning back some of your time, which is what our purpose and mission here as at Carrot. Thanks for walking us through the zombie house, man. And hopefully someone takes that house now and gets it to be a rental property or something, but you solved the real problem. You helped get a family some cash in a house that probably wouldn't have been touched by almost anyone else in the area. They probably wouldn't have known what to do with it. You're able to make a profit on it for serving a real purpose. You help that investor then also make some profit on it, and you're able to get a listing on that as well. So if you're an agent and an investor, look at this and how you can use both of those together as an agent and an investor, what we call a hybrid. And guys, hopefully you guys got some great tips from Anthony and how he's really baked in evergreen marketing as an agent into his business, leveraging videos. So go to carrot.com/video, get the video guide that Anthony helped our team put together. Go follow Anthony and just kind of be inspired by what he's doing over there too. And Anthony, appreciate the time today, man.
Yeah, of course. Always happy to be here.
For
Anytime.
sure.
So next week, notice I said next week, not in 2 weeks. We're shifting. We're actually, you guys get a bonus episode of Behind the Deal next week because we have to shift our schedule for the holidays coming up, and then it'll go back to every other week. But next week we're having Bo Hollis is coming back on, and we're calling this the financial freedom deal. And you'll find out why. But he's had the pleasure of adding someone to his team and helping somebody else find financial freedom. And so it's going to be an episode all about kind of scaling your team and having more impact outside of being a solopreneur.
Dude, that one's going to be cool. So I'm going to double down on what Brady's saying to kind of plant a seed for you guys. Because this gal, wasn't she the bank teller? And he would always be the guy. Yeah, he'd be the guy coming up with these big checks from real estate. And she's like, what do you do? And long story short, you're going to be able to see her close her first deal that was with Bo and myself from that, and she left her job. And so I want you guys to see how she did that. And it's really, really cool because it's something every single person here can replicate. It's not complicated. It takes some getting out of your comfort zone, using a proven system, a proven process. And if you're someone who's really, really experienced and you've already done some deals and you're like, I just want to know how to get more deals from Carrot, this exact thing is what you can do to get more deals. Bo was that guy. He'd been to Carrot Camp. He'd started to get a couple deals here and there. He was creating videos, closing more of his offline deals because of his content and his videos, but he wanted more deals. And so we ramped up what we'll talk about on that episode next week to get him more leads coming in. We partnered up on these deals, and this is one of those deals that came from that method. So we'll teach you guys how to scale it up on that next week's session too. So I love it. Brady, appreciate you guys putting this together as always, man. It's awesome. Guys and gals, if you guys are watching this, listening to this, hit subscribe on YouTube so you can be notified anytime we go live on these episodes. If you're on the Facebook side of things, go follow us on Facebook. Hit that big old follow button so you can get notified anytime we have a scheduled event like this coming out. And guys, we're going to continue to give you amazing content to help you win back more of your freedom, build that evergreen marketing in your business, just like Anthony's starting to do as well. So thank you guys. Anthony, you rock, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. We'll
You
see you
guys.
later. Have a
Yep.
great week.
See ya.